Today, I'm going to teach you how to use Lovable and n8n to build your own AI-powered SaaS that you could publish to the web and charge users a monthly subscription to use. Here's a quick demo of the product that we're going to build. Users can sign up and create an account using Supabase authentication. Once users create an account, they can onboard their YouTube channel and set up their profile. They can tell the AI what their profile is about and then land on the home page. Users can analyze a new video simply by taking the URL of an existing video on YouTube, pasting it here. This will trigger an n8n workflow that gets the transcript of the YouTube video, sends it to an AI for analysis, and then returns it back to the front end. Once this n8n workflow has finished executing, the front end will render a beautiful UI of an in-depth analysis of that YouTube video so that YouTubers and content creators can get inspired by other videos that have performed exceptionally well. By the end of this workshop, you will learn how to build web apps with Lovable, custom AI-powered automations with n8n, and use Supabase for authentication and simple database management. Let's jump in and start building. The big idea of today's session is that automations can replace repetitive business processes. n8n is blowing up, and it's never been a better time to start looking at how you can take a repetitive business process, automate it through n8n, and then turn that into a web or mobile SaaS product. SaaS means software as a service. And if you're able to wrap an automation in a web or mobile interface, that essentially is a SaaS product. And I was thinking about Dreamflow prior to running the session today, but after doing a lot of due diligence on Dreamflow, I think it is a bit too early to be committing to Dreamflow to build large-scale applications. With Lovable just having raised a $200 million venture round, I think Lovable is the best choice right now for those of us who want to get into vibe code and have a long-term product. I think Replit is also amazing, but Lovable does a bit better job of Replit in staying in that intermediate level category for people who are interested in learning how to code, interested in software development, but not quite, ready to learn how to write code by hand. I think Replit does a very good job as well, but it is a bit too encapsulated, and they haven't quite figured out integrations natively with Supabase and Firebase. I think Lovable has done a great job, and it also natively integrates with Supabase, which is a lot more scalable. And there's a lot of y'all out there who want to build HIPAA-compliant apps, B2B SaaS apps, and Supabase and SQL level databases typically handle those types of compliances as well. So the quality of product that you can build when you are building with Lovable and building with Supabase and n8n is fantastic. And I think you can pretty much build anything out there. So I do think Flutterflow has a place in the market. We are still supporting Flutterflow inside of our Dreams into Apps Accelerator, where we have a team of 6 full-time technical coaches who are experts in Flutter and Flutterflow, guiding you along the way. If you are building a mobile-only application, I still highly recommend Flutter. I have built and scaled 3 different mobile apps to $50,000 MRR. If you guys saw my latest video on YouTube, you'll see that we are actually, I think, just shy of 50,000. Yeah, we're actually at $52,000, and these are 2 Flutter-based mobile apps. I just posted a screenshot right here. We're at $52,000 on 2 Flutter apps. So I want to put my money where my mouth is and say, no, I am in love with Flutter. I just think the opportunity right now for those of you who don't know how to code and want to build web-based apps is really strong when you're working with Lovable. So cool. Let's keep moving. My goal right now is to solve a small problem, and that should be all of your goals right now. Those of you who are enrolling into the accelerator oftentimes have way too big of visions. We need to really chisel down that vision and solve a small problem in a big market. This is what YC says as well, and this is the Trojan horse of how to build a successful software. Oftentimes, we see entrepreneurs who want to build everything for everyone, but that ends up being nothing for no one. We want to find a very small problem that seems so small that it feels kind of dumb to build. But when you actually think about the value that that solution creates, it can amount to a large amount of money. So our goal is to ship something simple and then build on top of it over time to create more value and therefore justify higher monthly subscriptions. When I launched both of these apps that I just showed you that are generating $50,000, they were very simple apps. They are still very simple apps. I highly recommend you check out the other videos on my channel so that you can learn the methodology for how I build simple apps that solve valuable problems that people are willing to pay premium monthly subscriptions for. Okay. So today we have a project. I am going to walk us all through a SaaS product for a problem that I face myself. The project is called Video Scope, and the crux is, why do some videos on YouTube go viral? So we're going to be building a viral YouTube video analyzer for YouTubers who want to get more views on YouTube by creating outlier videos like the pros. This product is based on a true problem that I currently have as a content creator on YouTube. And to be honest, if I were to have found this product somewhere on the internet, I would pay a small amount of money for it. I do use tools like VidIQ, which does have really interesting insights, but this is a problem that I face every single day as I'm planning my next YouTube videos. And I do see some questions coming into the chat. Feel free to fire away all those questions, and I will take some time in between to address them particularly. So today we're going to be building this product that will pretty much streamline my process. Here's my process. Every time I want to create a new YouTube video, this is what I do. I find educational videos on YouTube that have over 100,000 views. I analyze the hook because the hook is everything when you're making content. I then analyze the script and I analyze what the delivery of that content looks and feels like. I save that script and that hook for later in a Notion database. Then I write my scripts after getting inspired by those hooks and scripts. I wish I had something to do all this for me. I have to go through a couple different tools to get the hook, get the script, actually format it with ChatGPT. So today I'm going to build a very simple product that I could use and potentially even sell to other aspiring YouTubers who want to build successful, or excuse me, I always say the word build, who want to develop, create viral content or content that creates outsized returns for their channel. Okay, so here's my SaaS. And the way I like to design software products is by what's called user flows or user journeys. So here's my user journey for how a user will authenticate into the platform. Okay, so we'll have a landing page where a user will create an account, and then they'll set up their onboarding and preferences for their experience. We always want to have an onboarding flow. If you've seen my other videos and you've seen the apps that I've built that generate revenue, we always do this exact set of steps. We want the user to feel like their experience is personalized, because if the user feels like they have agency over the product or they have something to do with how the product benefits them, they'll be much more likely to A, pay you, and B, stay long-term. And we are seeing this play out in real time as I scale my venture studio internally to over $1 million ARR. A lot of what I'm doing inside my venture studio is like experiments and learnings that I'm pushing right back out into the community. So y'all are pretty much getting access to everything that I'm doing in my venture studio, where we're building and scaling 3 software products in real time. And you guys get to see exactly what's working, because to be honest, like, building software takes time. It takes learning. It takes buying data. It takes, money for advertising. But since you have me kind of doing all that for you inside the program, you're pretty much taking the money that I'm investing and using it for your own benefit. So this is going to be awesome. And yeah, I do understand this video is going to be a lot of content. It is going to be fast, and there will be a recording on YouTube again for those of you. And if you, again, want to work with me more closely one-on-one, get access to my technical team to actually implement everything you're learning today, I will be making an offer to all of y'all to join the Academy and the Accelerator for a special offer today. Beautiful. Let's keep moving. All right. So the architecture for my software product. I also understand it is Wednesday night and all of us have families, dinners, going to the gym, other things to do. So my goal is going to be to get you guys back your time and deliver the most value possible. I really, really respect all of your time, and I appreciate all of you for showing up today. Thank you again. Beautiful. So here is, and shout out UK for those of us staying out super late. That's awesome. So here's our architecture for our product, okay? So we're building our web app in Lovable, and if you've seen any of my previous teachings on YouTube, you know that I like to create fully decoupled applications. The word decoupled means separated, right? We have seen entrepreneurs try to build software that is just like a front end, and then they call all the APIs directly from the front end. That's not how you do things. You need to decouple your front end and your back end business logic. That's why I have two different squares right here to represent what's the front end and what's the back end. The front end right here is just a web app on Lovable. If I wanted to build like a web app and then later I wanted to build a mobile app, I could totally do that by having one web app on Lovable and one web app on Flutterflow. This is totally possible. I've even seen entrepreneurs who come inside the Dreams into Apps Accelerator and say, hey, my app is primarily for web, but I want to create a mobile companion, right? And so if you wanted to do that, it's totally possible. You could build the web app in Lovable and then just connect your mobile app to the same APIs to build that mobile companion, or vice versa. That's the thing about front ends, everybody. Front ends are dumb. It doesn't matter what you build your front end in. All that matters is that your back end is set up correctly so that you can just connect any front end that you want. That's why I really like this decoupled strategy, is because if you ever want to rebuild it or you ever want to build a better mobile app, it's really easy just to reconnect your front end to your back end. But don't get hung up there right now. Right now, I really want us to focus on the concept of decoupling. So we're going to use Supabase for our database and our authentication provider. We're going to use n8n. n8n is sick right now, and I love how easy it makes it to build your own APIs and workflows and integrate with other services. So maybe one of y'all out there wants to build a product that integrates external data sources. Like you want to integrate ChatGPT, you want to integrate from a POS system or an ERP, or tap into another database, or call on an API. We even have people building fintech apps in the program who want to call on the Plaid API. You can do these types of REST API calls inside of your own workflow builder in n8n. Patrick says it very beautifully. It's basically Zapier on steroids. It's definitely a little bit more developer grade than Zapier, and it's incredibly more affordable than Zapier. So love that. Love that. Love that. All right. And then we got Stripe for payments, right? So our goal is to make money off this. None of us are here for free. Maybe we hate our jobs. Maybe we want to make more money. Maybe we want to exit for $1 million. Does that sound like you? Do you want to make $1,000 MRR extra? Do you want to make $10,000 MRR and quit your job? Do you want to scale to 100,000 MRR, 1.2 million ARR, and sell your product for $10 million and go retire on the beach, right? I think that's what we all want to do. And that's exactly what I'm working on as well. All these other YouTubers out there and gurus out there, they just show you a couple prompts and they say, oh, I'm building you a $1 million app. But then there's actually me, who is not just teaching, but I'm actually building and scaling multiple software products in real time and showing that all to y'all inside the program. And I'm super, super proud of it. And I'm super thankful, because none of this would have been possible unless the 1,100 entrepreneurs who trusted us to join our program took the leap of faith, believed in themselves. That's how we generated the 4.9 star reviews. That's how we were able to network with such high level entrepreneurs that we ended up partnering with to build these products. Okay. So this technology stack is very capable of generating real recurring revenue. I also think it's a technology stack that if you were to sell your business, you could absolutely justify strong multiples. Sometimes people forget that when you buy a business, you're buying the asset. If you have this really old PHP WordPress business, an acquirer is not going to pay you good money for it. They're going to be like, I got to rebuild this whole thing on a brand new stack, and they're going to push down on your valuation multiple. When you have cutting edge new technology, you get really good multiples as well. People want to buy new tech because it's easier to maintain and it's highly performant. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Cool. So any questions? Now is the time to ask in the chat. I'm going to take a sip of water and address any questions that we have before we start actually building. n8n is definitely better than Zapier and Make, depending on what type of person you are. If you're a developer, I think n8n is much better than Zapier and Make. Our Zapier bill at Ambitious Labs is like $4,000 a month. It's absolutely nuts. And we're trying to move things over to n8n. It's actually a really easy money-making opportunity, is just go sell businesses on migrating their SAPs over to n8n. Will you provide notes? Yep, definitely. Any ideas on AI generated on device-based apps like Flutterflow? Has capabilities of Bluetooth? Yeah, so It doesn't matter what technology stack you build your mobile app in. If you want to integrate native device connections like Bluetooth, you're going to have to export the code and maintain the code locally on your own IDE, such as VS Code or Cursor. And then you can definitely integrate native device SDKs using Swift wrappers or Swift plugins. Flutter even has pub.dev, and you can create your own pub.devs as well if you want to integrate with IoT devices. IoT devices actually have a really easy API, typically like WebSockets. You can use Socket.io. You can use, I think, Bluetooth-based sockets as well that are super easy to connect and send data back and forth. I was working as an intern for SpaceX, and I built this IoT-based application that would send data to a Hyperloop pod, and we used WebSockets and Bluetooth sockets to actually communicate. We had a little onboard system that would emit a Wi-Fi signal, and that Wi-Fi signal would just be on a local area network. We would then tap into a socket port on that local area network and then connect to the onboard system. So I think you can do stuff like that. You can absolutely do stuff like that. It's just a matter of getting access to the code. Okay, awesome questions. What's the best app to build? Apps that solve problems, very expensive problems. Cool. Does that mean Supabase can scale better than Firebase? I think Firebase scales really beautifully. Both of them can scale beautifully. Like, you don't really have, is one better than the other? They're just two different for two different reasons. Firebase is way more beginner friendly. If you have, an app that's consumer based, like, a dating app, a meditation app, content app, a consumer app, like, I think those apps are really easy to scale on Firebase. All the apps that I'm building in my Venture Studio are all built on Firebase, and I love it because it's easy. You don't have to think about it much. Supabase does break a lot. There's a lot of small breaking points in Supabase, and you have to be ready to maintain the SQL level code. I'll be honest, unless you already have experience with SQL, I wouldn't recommend going to Supabase. I would recommend going to Firebase. But if you really want to learn, Supabase is totally cool. It just requires a little bit more configuration. And if something breaks, you need to be able to understand things like row level security rules, how to write SQL statements. And those are things that, are tougher to pick up, but they will give you more control and flexibility over time. Cool. Can it integrate into Google Maps? Absolutely, yes. Everything can integrate into Google Maps. We have a few people building map-based applications. What about data protection? I think that data protection is something that a lot of people stress over way too much. It's not worth stressing over. A lot of these backend tools like Supabase and Firebase have what's called security rules, and you can actually manage your own security rules and control the security yourself. Firebase is a Google-based product. Supabase is a SQL-based product, and both of them have very strong, encryption and security-based techniques that you can get access to. It's pretty easy, and I think too many people trip about data protection when we should be building. There's been a trend ongoing in the internet, YouTube, about developers and hackers targeting vibe coders. Absolutely. They hack these apps and release their API keys, sensitive information. Yeah, exactly, because vibe coders don't know that you're not supposed to put API keys in your front end. So a lot of people, like I was trying to say, is that they put their API keys right inside here. They literally go to Lovable and they say, hey, here's my OpenAI key, and connect to the OpenAI API. They don't understand this concept of decoupled software applications. People aren't going to be able to tap into your n8n workflow if your n8n server is self-hosted. People aren't going to be able to tap into your Supabase keys if you use the Supabase key management system. So there are a lot of best practices that people are missing out on, which is why I'm super excited about, the rise of vibe code, because there's a lot of things that people aren't doing correctly. And those are things that we can teach, and those are things that we correct you on inside the program as well. I agree. Absolutely. And yes, the short answer is yes. I make everything sound easy, but this is really hard. You have to be ready to put in the work. However, it is the most rewarding thing of your life. And once you know how to build software, your life will change. And I promise you'll never have an issue getting a job. You'll never have an issue being valuable, because you'll know how to do the most scalable leverage thing. There's nothing more leveraged than automations and software, because you build software once and you can sell it an infinite number of times. Yeah, I saw Figma Make. It's pretty cool. I I try not to get too distracted with a lot of these different tools coming out. My job is to commit to one and be the best at it. And so, yeah. What do I think about Bolt.new? I think Bolt is pretty cool for like really quick, basic apps and prototyping. I use Bolt to like prototype apps whenever I'm communicating to other people. For example, when I'm communicating to a designer, like in my venture studio, we have a designer. I say, hey, can you make a screen like this? I prototyped it in Bolt.new. I think Bolt is definitely falling behind Lovable. Lovable just raised $200 million, and I think they're going to just outpace everybody. Lovable had the second mover advantage after Bolt. Bolt will do fine, but I would recommend Lovable and Replit right now as like my go-to. Bolt is really good for like quick applications. All right, y'all. No more questions. Let's start building. If you are a new coder, this is the stack that you should use. I'm about to show it to you. Let's get it. All right, y'all. So I put the steps right here in this Figma document. I will be sharing this document in the YouTube video that will be posted about this. For now, I'm going to walk through it and then I'll share it with you, because if I share it with you now, you're all going to get distracted. And I don't want y'all to get distracted. Let's jump. All right, so you probably see my revenue. I'm refreshing the screen so I don't get trolled on YouTube. People always say refresh, refresh, refresh. All right, well, I just refreshed. All right, so this is the app that we're making, okay? It's called Why Do Some Videos on YouTube Go Viral, okay? So the first step of our process is to set up the n8n workflow that will be responsible for actually doing the work. And before I actually jump in, I want to share my full screen and kind of remind us all what we're doing, okay? So remember, our job right now is to create a AI automation that finds a YouTube video's transcript, analyzes the hook of the video, analyzes the script of the video, and returns me like returns me an analysis of how that video performed. Okay, so we're gonna build an app that takes in a YouTube video URL, and I'm gonna give it a URL of a video that's already went viral. Our AI is going to get the video transcript, and then the front end is going to output the video analysis and personalized recommendations. Okay. So let's start by building what's really important, which is the n8n workflow that will accept a YouTube URL and get the transcript, feed it into ChatGPT, and then return back an analysis. Okay. Let's jump in. All right. So the first step is going to be to head over to n8n and create an account. I don't expect you all to walk with me through this. You can pause this video on YouTube and follow along, okay? So I've gone ahead and created a workflow that accepts a YouTube video URL as a webhook, okay? It gets the YouTube transcript right here using this YouTube transcript API. I wrote a little bit of code to actually grab the transcript. Then we have a OpenAI node here that actually passes in a prompt to OpenAI. It inputs the transcript that was received by the transcript API, and then it outputs a video analysis. Okay, I'm going to be providing you all of this in the description of the video on YouTube, so you can grab everything here on the description, and you don't have to do anything. Okay, so written all this code, you don't have to worry about it. Let me show you how this works. Okay, so I'm going to set this workflow to active, and I'll execute the workflow. Okay, this is what's going to happen. We are going to make a GET request to this API endpoint. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open YouTube. I'm going to open one of my recent videos. Okay, this is one that did pretty well. And I'm going to grab this URL. Okay, this is the URL of the YouTube video. Then I'm going to go back to my n8n endpoint. Okay, I'm going to paste this URL right here just to hold on to it. Okay, I'm going to grab this. and then I'm going to put my video URL as a query parameter. So a query parameter is a variable that you send through a URL. This is a concept that you will learn inside our Basics of Software Development Bootcamp inside the Dreams into Apps Accelerator. These are concepts I'm assuming that you know. The way that we've built our program is that you don't need to learn exactly how to write code by hand, but you do need to understand some concepts of computer science so that you can build these types of applications. And the best way to learn is by building. So once you follow along and see how this works, it'll make a lot of sense to you. Okay. So cool. Watch what happens when I run this. Oops, I put it in the wrong spot. That was a rookie mistake. Watch what happens when I run that webhook in a different tab. So I'm going to open a new tab. Okay. And I'm going to run this webhook. Looks like I wasn't listening for the event. Okay, I'm going to run this webhook. And we're going to run this, and that should trigger the webhook here, which it did. And you'll see on the right-hand side that we got an output, which means that our webhook node here in n8n received the video URL that I sent through the query parameter. You see that? Video URL equals this video link, right? Here in the node output, I see that there is a query parameter called video URL, and that's exactly the same video URL that I passed through. So that means we successfully got the input, and now we need to work our way through the rest of the workflow. So I'm going to hit play on this node, and this actually gets the transcript from a transcript API. This code block actually takes the transcript and outputs it into a beautiful paragraph like this, as you can see. So this is a whole beautiful paragraph of the video transcript. Then I'm going to send the transcript to an OpenAI model. Okay, I wrote a prompt that essentially is doing the same thing as ChatGPT. It takes in the entire transcript and it's going to output me an analysis of that video. It's going to evaluate the hook. It's going to evaluate the style of that video and tell me what that video did well. So look, here's the transcript that I provided as an input. This is the prompt that I gave the OpenAI model. If I open this up, you're going to see the prompt right here. You're a YouTube strategist. Here's a transcript of a YouTube video. You need to break down the video into a hook and body. This video performed exceptionally well as an outlier on YouTube. Analyze the hook to understand why it had a high retention rate at the beginning of the video. Then I pass the transcript and I give it an example output JSON object. Okay. JSON objects are how mobile apps, web apps, and computers pass data back and forth on the internet. Okay. Have you ever heard of the word JSON before? Type in the chat yes if you have. Type in the chat no if you haven't. I'm really curious to know how many of us understand what JSON is or have heard of it. Okay, so a couple of us have heard of it. Most of us have heard of it. Okay, cool. Cool. John, by the way, I've seen you in the email list for years, man. Thank you for following up, and I hope we don't bother you too much in the email list. Appreciate you. Cool. So we have a lot of people who understand what JSON is. That's really beautiful. So JSON is a structured way of representing data in mobile apps and web apps, typically just software generally. So I gave this ChatGPT prompt an example of the JSON output that I'm looking for. And essentially, it's a video analysis, okay? So boom, that's how I did things here. And you'll see the result of the OpenAI API call was actually a video analysis of that exact video. As you can see here, it says how to build and launch a profitable app, startup and no-code app development, why it went well, hook breakdown, and it even gives me like timestamps and moments of like what did well. Beautiful, right? So I actually used ChatGPT and I said, hey, ChatGPT, I'm building this app. Can you give me an example JSON structure of what I should output onto the front end? Okay, so I actually use ChatGPT to make a lot of my decisions while I'm constructing the app. Okay, so now I have this webhook completely built out. Cool. Let me show you how we would test this as if we were, ready to call this from our app. So I have this webhook URL. This is the production URL right here. Production means live. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. It's going to take some time. You see that loading wheel in my browser? Since this is a GET request, if you ever run an API that's a GET request, you can just call that in the browser. You can just paste that URL in the browser. Anytime you access a website, you're making a GET request. Okay. So that's one beautiful thing about building GET requests in n8n is that you can just take the URL and then call it in the browser, and you will see your output here. So look, this is my JSON output, meaning I've built a endpoint right here that takes in a video URL and outputs a JSON object that represents my video analysis. Really, really cool. We can plug in any YouTube video right here. All we got to do is change this out, and it will output a beautiful analysis here. So we have finished the back end, okay? And like I said, you're going to find a link in the description to copy my entire n8n workflow, and your job will just be to swap out the webhook URL in your application, okay? So now that we are done with the back end, the next step is to expose that webhook URL, which we've done right here. This is the webhook URL that we're exposing. And now we want to create our lovable application. Step one is to create a lovable account, design the full UI UX before integrating the endpoint, set up authentication with Supabase, set up onboarding and user profile setup. I've actually already gone ahead and built out a prompt as well. We've written out a prompt. You will get access to this in the YouTube description, and you can just copy this prompt and paste it into Lovable. It does look like someone said that Lovable wasted 75% of their paid credits trying to fix one issue. I do think it's important to understand why the issue happened, and you're not just vaguely prompting Lovable to fix something. And that's why I think it's important to write code, or at least be able to look at code and understand what's going on. What you could do to save your credits is, instead of just telling Lovable to fix something, you could ask Lovable, where is the error happening? Copy the code that the error is occurring in, send that to ChatGPT, and then have ChatGPT tell you what to tell Lovable, okay? So there are ways to optimize your prompting. Oftentimes we assume too much about Lovable, and that's why these vibe coding tools fail to fix our issue, because we're not giving it enough context and we aren't being very specific with what needs to change, okay? So good. Good. So I've gone ahead and started this Lovable project. I'm going to give you this Lovable project to remix as a link. I believe I should be able to do that by the end of this lesson. So all I've done thus far to get a head start on this workshop, I've done many workshops, as you can tell, and oftentimes if I don't get at least a 30 or 40% head start, the workshop runs too long. So I've gone ahead and generated the front end, okay? The front end was based on this prompt that I provided. This prompt essentially told the AI to generate a landing page, generate the authentication pages, generate an onboarding flow, generate a home page, and analyze new video modal, where I can paste a YouTube video URL, and then a detailed view of what happens after the video is analyzed, okay? And I provided ChatGPT the example JSON response that my endpoint delivers. This is where the magic comes, is I gave ChatGPT this response, and I said, hey, this is the response that the API is going to give you. Map that response JSON to a beautiful UI that clearly displays the data that comes back from the analysis API. I hope that makes sense. And then I even tell ChatGPT again to map the UI for dummy data. All right. So really powerful way of telling Lovable what to do and reverse engineering the API that you are building that has all of your business logic, right? So very, very cool. All right. So good. That is all I've provided Lovable so far. So if I hit sign up, it doesn't look like the sign up buttons are working. Let's refresh to see if it's just a render issue. It is not. So let's say that. Lovable is asking us what's next. It says need to save information, add user accounts, or connect with other services. Supabase is a simple way. So it's asking me to connect Supabase right now. But first I want to tell it to link the sign up button to the sign up flow and make sure I can access all of the pages of the website without any API calls or backend functionality. I want a full clickable prototype. I like doing this first to make sure that all of the screens are actually assembled correctly. Then once I know that the screens are assembled correctly, I'll go back and start wiring up the backend logic. Okay, that's when I give it the Supabase connection. I start wiring up the APIs. But the first step of everything is to just make sure that I have a full clickable prototype that actually works. Okay. So boom, Lovable said it added the routing, but it's probably not true. Oh, it's still editing here. Oh, it's still editing the landing page. Cool. So if you've noticed, when it says editing, it gives us the title of the code file that it's editing. And that's a really powerful thing because we know that Lovable is writing code, and TSX is short for TypeScript. TypeScript is a JavaScript derivative that front-end developers use. I used to literally be a TypeScript developer. Like I was paid 6 figures by a company to write TypeScript. So that person who was getting paid 6 figures no longer needs a full-time job. I think you can just have one person do it, which is pretty cool. Looks like Lovable is still doing some work here. So we are going to hang tight. Okay. If you have any questions, now's a good time to ask while I wait for this to generate. It's actually very smart. Trick the AI into teaching you how it works. That's a really good idea. Okay, so as you can see here, it looks like the sign up is working. And now it's taking me down a onboarding path. And I actually love that. It says, what is your YouTube channel URL? I could literally give it my YouTube channel, paste that in here, hit next. None of this is actually working. It's all just a clickable prototype. I teach people how to build apps. Okay, start analyzing videos. Beautiful. So you can see here, it gave me a really nice UI for all the videos that I've analyzed. I can hit analyze new video. I think that still needs some work. Boom. Input YouTube URL, analyze video. Wow, it gave me a really beautiful loading wheel. And I hope that it takes me to another screen where I can see the analysis. So I can click on that analysis and I see everything that was included in my JSON. This is actually sick. This is the first time that I'm seeing this generate. I'm doing it right in front of you. And I think we have all the UI that we need. Keep in mind, all of this UI looks super valuable, right? There's a lot of value that's being given to the end user, but it's only one API. It's just my one viral YouTube Analyzer API. This is how you can create a software product that derives value without needing dozens of features and all this complexity. We really just need one feature that solves the core problem for our user, and then we can add on top of this, right? I could do like a script generator from here. I could do an automatic scraper that allows users to input, different YouTube channels to watch, and then it automatically, does the analysis based on, when a YouTuber posts a viral video. We don't have to do it manually. Does that make sense? So there are ways that we can really improve and evolve this product. But right now we don't need to overcomplicate it. And that's another great thing about the Dreams into Apps Accelerator is that our product team has built out an AI-powered product road mapping system where you will actually talk to our AI agent, Ada AI is what we call it, and Ada AI will actually generate you a full roadmap that gives you clear milestones on what features you should ship in what order. And that's how our coaching team actually works with you one-on-one and keeps you accountable. We have a team of full-time coaches, and each coach is assigned a Kanban board to keep track of you and hold you accountable and make sure that they're guiding you along each one of those tickets that you've created in your Kanban board. And that's where the power of our accelerator really comes in, is you have full-time, accountability. We're planning your product and making sure that you're only shipping features that are going to drive real value. And we hold you to launching your MVP in that 12-week timeline, usually usually less. And that's where a lot of that comes in. So over the last 2 years, we haven't just, coached people through and made a course. We have an entire AI-powered learning platform that all of our builders are going through. And we use that to assist our coaches in doing their job at the highest level. That's how we've been able to create such incredible success for all of our builders. I hope all of that makes sense. So now that this is all done, let's go back and actually start integrating the backend. So I'm going to refresh this, and I'm hoping that it takes me back to the home page. And if it doesn't, I can just drop this down and we'll go to the home page here. Awesome. Now let's integrate Supabase for authentication and allow users to create an account and log in to an existing account. And that whole AI platform I just talked to you about, we are actually vibe coding that as well. We have a full-time developer on our team who's actively working on that. Okay. So it says click on the green Supabase button and hit Connect Supabase. Awesome. I'm going to hit Connect Supabase, and that's going to ask me to authorize API access. I have multiple organizations, so I'm going to just use this one. Beautiful. Our Supabase organization is loaded, and we do not have a project yet. So I'm going to hit Create Project. And here we're going to say YouTube Viral Analyzer. This is good. We're going to generate a password, copy it, and I'm going to paste my password in a notes document. This is going to charge me $10 a month. If you guys are new to Supabase, you can fly under the free tier. I have a ton of Supabase apps. There's only two options in the database world, Supabase or Firebase. I wouldn't recommend anything outside of Supabase and Firebase. So that's the answer to that question. Awesome. So it looks like check project status in Supabase. Looks like the project is still setting up, so I need to wait for this project to finish. That will enable me to connect the YouTube Viral Analyzer project to my Lovable account here. Looks like that is not working yet. Once that is done, we'll be able to move forward. And the process from here is pretty simple. I think we're doing really good on time. We're about 45 minutes in, and I'm positive we're going to get this done. Beautiful. So the project is done. Let's connect a project. I might need to refresh so that it picks up that the project is done loading. I'm going to refresh here. Click Manage Supabase, connect Supabase, connect a project. Boom. Looks like that now found the new project, and our YouTube Viral Analyzer project is connecting, and it looks like that's working. Awesome. Awesome. Connected. And on the left side, the Lovable agent is saying, it looks like you haven't created any tables in your Supabase project yet. That's okay. So we're going to enable user accounts. Okay. Let's head over to our project dashboard. We'll hit authentication. Okay. We're going to go to sign in and providers, and we're going to enable email. Looks like it's already enabled. That's great. Awesome. 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 Looks like authentication is set up here. It says allow new users to sign up. That is set up. Users. Awesome. I'm gonna say I set up email authentication in Supabase. I always say I'm too nice to the AI. Integrate login and sign up functionality into my app. Awesome. Let's let this do its thing here. The next step, once we have the authentication hooked up, is to start integrating that API. I think it should go rather quickly. Authentication is always a little tricky because there's a lot of layers to it. Beautiful. So it says Supabase authentication is hooked up. I'm very curious to know if this actually works. So, boom. It says account created successfully. Welcome to Videoscope. If I head to Supabase and refresh the page, boom, I see my account get created. I want you to know that when I built my first startup in college, it took me a whole month to build an authentication system. Okay. Now we need to do the profile setup. Okay. When a new account is created, add a new user record to the database table called users. And when a user is done with the onboarding flow, save the YouTube channel URL, the niche, and description to the user profile. Okay. So this is where the personalization happens. Now we're creating a table called users in the database. So every time a new user signs up for our application, we're going to have that users table. Okay. It looks like it's generated a SQL statement. So for those of you asking SQL versus Firebase, when you're building a SQL-based database, you need to get used to seeing SQL queries like this. I would recommend learning SQL because it's actually a transferable skill you can put on your resume and actually get hired for it. But in Firebase, you never have to work with any statements or any. This is not a coding language; it's called a query language. But when you work with Supabase and SQL, you need to get used to seeing this type of query language. If you're working with Firebase, you never have to look at something like that. Okay. And as you can see, it's already found like security warnings, and so that's where some of the volatility in SQL comes up. So we're applying changes here, and you can go in circles and do this a lot too. But if you just stay really disciplined and you build small features at a time, you shouldn't run into any of those holes. And if you do, and you're in the program, you can just jump into a technical call, and one of our coaches can just help you out. It's pretty awesome. Awesome. So now let's go back to our table editor here. It does look like we have users table, and the structure of the table looks pretty good. We have ID, email, full name, channel URL, niche, description, created and updated. So we have a really good structure on our database for users. That's awesome. And then boom, we get a nice error. I love errors because I love fixing errors. I know I'm kind of weird. And it looks like Lovable is already trying to fix it. Let's see what it does here. I see that this is a HTML error. So it's typically because there's no like closing tag, or there is just a bad piece of HTML in there that wasn't closed properly. I'm pretty confident that the LLM will figure that out. That's a pretty primitive issue. Cool. Awesome. The authentication is fully integrated with Supabase. Users can create accounts, sign in, and profile data. So, let's give that a shot. I'm going to refresh the page, see what happens. And go to the home page. We'll sign up. Okay, looks like since I have created an account, it's letting me back in. We need a log out button, right? We need a log out button inside the dashboard. If you're enjoying this, can you give me a thumbs up or yes in the chat? If you are nervous, scared, and you are very frustrated and overwhelmed, please give me a thumbs down and say no. But if you're liking this and you want more, please say yes. Definitely want to know how y'all are doing here. Okay, cool. We got a lot of yeses. Thank you so much. Sweet. Sweet. Awesome. So where's that log out button? We got that log out button. It says I've been successfully logged out, but it didn't redirect me. So when I click on log out, I am not being redirected back to the back to the home page. So we need to add that. Awesome. Awesome. We got a ton of yeses. Thank you so much. Awesome. Yeah, Eric, I do that a lot too. I actually, in my latest YouTube video, you're going to see me actually use the ChatGPT voice feature to just talk into the ChatGPT voice note, and it turns that into cool prompts. Awesome. Let's test this out. Now I'm going to call this Aleem Tester, and I'm going to say Aleem plus test at ambitiouslabs.io, and I'm going to create an account. Okay. Now I'm going to paste in my YouTube channel, which is YouTube Ambitious Labs. I'm going to paste that in there. What niche am I in? I'm in AI or like vibe code SaaS. Okay. And then I teach non-tech entrepreneurs how to build mobile apps and SaaS. Okay. Start analyzing videos. We want to check to see if that was added to the Supabase database, and it looks like it was. We got email, full name, channel, the niche, the description. Boom, boom, boom. We're making a ton of progress, and we're not writing any code. So now we've created an account, and that account details has been saved. Many of you know, but I love onboarding flows. Like I attribute all my revenue to the onboarding. That onboarding flow is very simple, but if I was actually like commercializing this, and in one of the apps that we're building, it's a stock trading app, we have a very long onboarding flow that's like a quiz of how we have a quiz that asks the user about their stock trading behaviors, and we create a profile for that user through the onboarding flow. And then we say, hey, this is you today, this is you later. And then we ask them to make a payment to get access to the product. So I have an entire module inside of Dreams into Apps on how to design effective onboarding flows, high converting onboarding flows. And those are all based on real experiences from Prize Picks, from Closer Coach, from Scam Profit, and all the other apps as well. We actually just completely flipped upside down one of our students' apps named Yago. I'm going to make a whole nother video on that, but we completely optimized his onboarding flow, and he's crushing it. Okay, so back to this. All right. Now we need to integrate the API that actually creates the video analyses. All right, so let me think about this. When I click on Analyze New Video, I'm going to paste in this video link right here. Oops. And when I click on Analyze Video, I want to call on the API. I want the API to then finish, okay? Once the API is finished and it gives me that JSON object, I want to insert that JSON object into the database. Okay. So we have two options. One, we can either do the database insert from here, we can essentially do all of this logic. Then we can add another node here, which is Supabase, and we could add in a row into the database from this workflow. We can definitely do that. All we would have to do is connect some credentials and insert the video analysis into the database. However, let me back out of here. However, I'm not sure I want to do that right this second. What I want to do first is just simply call the API and then render the data on the screen. So let's get used to doing that first. All right. So we'll go to Lovable and we'll say, let's integrate the API to analyze a video URL. When a user inputs a video URL from the analyze new video modal, we want to call this API endpoint. Notice how I pass the video URL as a query parameter. Here is the output structure of the API response. Consider this when you are mapping the response to the front end. When the API is done loading and returns code 200, redirect to the video analysis details screen with all the response data mapped. Do not consider inserting anything into the database yet. Focus on the API request and the front end data mapping. All right. So I gave it the video URL. Excuse me, I gave it the API URL, and now I'm going to give it an example output. And hit go. Let's see how this does, yeah? Cool. Still editing here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Edited, edited, edited. Eric, you're an AI pro. Yep, and I know we're coming on an hour right now. My goal is to wrap this up in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So stick with me. If you stick with me till the end and you were interested in enrolling in the program, I'm going to give you a special offer that you can only get on this session today and today only. We will not be giving out this offer on the YouTube video. I'll be cutting it out. So if you guys can stick with me for 10 minutes, you'll get a really special offer to join the program. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to work with the team one-on-one and actually launch your software product, just hold on for me. And if you want to be contacted by a member of our team, please just drop your email address in the chat. We have Rudy and Taylor on the enrollments team, so they can reach out to you. just go ahead and drop the email address that you use to submit your application at Ambitious Labs, and we'd be happy to reach out. Cool. So it does look like this is done. Stick with me, and we'll give this a shot. So I'm going to hit go here, and let's see if the API actually gets hit. It does look like it's taking some time. I'm not sure if that's artificial. So if the API successfully returns 200, it should redirect me to the next screen here. And that screen should map the response of the API to the page. All right. Let's see where we land. Awesome. So it looks like this worked. Looks like this worked well. Awesome. So we got all of the data mapped. Got all the data mapped here. It looks like this is all actually very accurate because this came from the API. Fantastic. This is incredible. And this is the first time I'm seeing it mapped to the front end. So all of this data came from the API. And I'm going to find another YouTube video right now. That's actually crazy. What a very cool tool. I'm honestly going to use this a lot. Let me find another YouTube video that went viral or had a really good viewership. So this person said, easiest way to start drop shipping in 2025. I love these like drop shipping videos because these people are so hype. And I'm going to go back to the dashboard. I'm going to hit analyze new video, post this drop shipping one, hit analyze video. All right. All right. All right. All right. Oh, did I not use the right link? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try this endpoint with a new video. This hopefully is the dropshipping video. Yeah, it is the dropshipping video. So I'm going to hit this with the dropshipping video URL. If it works correctly, we should get the analysis of this dropshipping video right here. Okay. And if it doesn't do that, that means we have an issue in our n8n workflow where the video URL is not being passed to our service correctly. So let's see what's happening. Okay, so it looks like it's still looking for, it's still like giving us a response that relates to how to build and launch a no-code app. So I do think we have a potential issue here. Let's go to executions and let's debug the specific execution. So if I click on webhook, we see that we got this video URL, and this is the right video URL of the dropshipping video, which ends in MU. So it does look like the right URL came in here. Then when I go to HTTP request, I do see the issue here. So I see here that there's an ID that is incorrect. I actually hard-coded this ID, and that is not good. What I need to do is actually take just this piece of the video URL and pass it in as an ID. All right. So what we're going to need to do is actually write a little bit of code, or what we can do is simply just take the ID from any video, but I kind of don't like that. I want to be able to pass the whole URL. So here's what we can do. We can just quickly update this, heading back to, the editor. We can write a little bit of code in here. And we're going to say, access the query.video URL field and splice out the video ID, which is everything after v equals. Let's see if we can get the AI to generate this code. Beautiful. So it does look like we got updated items, item.json.query. Let me get rid of these Beautiful. Let's give that a shot. Let's say execute step. And the output of this, no, so that didn't work the way I wanted it to. We're going to say let output equal this, and we're going to say return output, or excuse me, we're going to say video ID equals this. We're going to say item dot, we're going to say video ID equals that, and then we're going to say output video ID. All right. That did not work. So video ID output.json. Oh, nope. There we go. So we got the output of the video ID. You can tell I know a thing or two about coding, and those are things that we use AI inside of the program to do. Now I'm going to take this output and pass it right in here. Okay, cool. Execute that step. Says JSON parameter needs to be valid JSON. Oops. Looks like it doesn't like my credentials. Let's go back and see how I had this set up before. Oh, I know why. Because before it was just a array, right? It was just like this. This was the body right here. There we go. I think that should get it done. Gorgeous. All right, so we just fixed that. So now I can pass in a URL from into the API and can pass the URL into the API. It will grab the ID, and I think that should work. So now let me rerun this. Using that drop shipping video, it should grab the ID dynamically, pass that ID into the YouTube transcript API, and give me the proper result. Okay. And yes, we do sign NDAs. As soon as you book a call, a teammate can send you the NDA. And at the end of this session today, I'll actually give you access to our full master document so that you guys can see literally everything about the Dreams into Apps curriculum. The program deliverable is what we do for you. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so this worked. How to start drop shipping in 2025 with just 30. Beautiful. So that worked. Now let's go back, and we'll go back to the dashboard, analyze this new video. Oops, I'm going to paste that drop shipping video in here and just make sure that the front end of my application is correctly returning this analysis back onto the app. Boom, how to start dropshipping in 2025. Fantastic. So we got the API dynamically working, and we have pretty much built a very basic YouTube viral video analyzer tool. And in the spirit of time, I do want to give everybody the rest of their evening back. I hope that you all learned something new here and that you're excited about the future of AI development. In this session today, we literally built a web app, hooked up authentication. We started a Supabase database. We integrated our own custom n8n API that interfaces ChatGPT, and we built our own AI-powered application that could be valuable to a specific person. I know for me, for sure, this is valuable because I do this on a day-to-day basis. And if I were to spend maybe 2, 3, 4 more hours on this product, I could build something that's truly valuable for a YouTuber that may make them want to pay $29 a month.